This question comes to us from D, and D writes this: Dear We TV, love the show. Quick question for you. How should Lutherans view and respond to concerns over the shrinking that is still taking place in congregations? Thanks for the help, D. D, great question. This is a good follow-up to last week's lightning cut. In answering your question, we want to think about something called pragmatism. Now, I've written out a definition of pragmatism to make sure I get it right. So let me read that for you. Pragmatism is this: it's assessing the truth or validity of something based upon the success of its application. In other words, pragmatism does this. It looks at a church and says if it has a good budget and it is growing in numerical numbers, and if it looks successful on the outside, it is therefore a good church, and it is what? True. Now, this is true to some extent. If you look at over in Africa, I have a good friend over there who's a missionary. He told me a while back that they had over 120 baptisms, a 4-hour divine service, and things are going well. Why? Because he's preaching and proclaiming the true word of God to the people. They're receiving it and being baptized. I mean, it's just awesome to see. Now, we would say that's definitely true, that it is working. Now, if we look at America, though, we can also see situations where there are vast numbers of people that are being baptized and so forth. Take, for instance, Joel Osteen's church down in Texas. He literally has thousands upon thousands upon thousands of members in that church. Now, here's the thing that we have to think about. Pragmatism would say that they are both true. My friend who's a missionary in Africa, doing the work of the gospel in Africa, and Joel Osteen doing the work here in the States, they are both true and valid and doing the same thing, because pragmatically, the effects or the consequence or the results are all the same. Now, if you were to compare both of these, my friend who's a missionary and Joel Osteen, you would realize that they're fundamentally different, doing different things. My friend in Africa is very faithful to the Word of God and the confessions. And if you look at Joel Osteen, I mean, I hate to say it, but he is theologically bankrupt. I mean, law and gospel are messed up. I mean, it's a prosperity theology that is just leading people to hell. It's awful. So we cannot base them both as being right, but pragmatism does. Now, here's another example. If you look at a small church in a dying community, that happens across the United States. Maybe it's a rural community that's dying, and the people are leaving. Young kids are going off to college, and the church is shrinking. We cannot conclude automatically that church is not true or valid, but pragmatism would. It would say that because it's shrinking, it therefore is not true. However, we would look at that church and maybe it has a faithful pastor and a faithful elder board. They're doing the work of being faithful, and the results are not the same. So there you go. That's how pragmatism works. So how do we respond to this? We want to avoid pragmatism. But more specifically, we want to think of 2 Timothy chapter 4, what Paul says to young Timothy as a pastor. He says, preach the word in season and out of season. In other words, the word does not know the season that it is in, nor does it really care. The word is to be preached when times are good and when times are bad. When things are going up and down, left and right, it does not matter. Preach the word. So in response to your question, what do we do when the church is in decline? We preach the word. What do we do when the church is growing? We preach the word. We're faithful. Yes, we're indeed faithful. Christian pastors, Christian church, we do not worry about success. We worry about being faithful to the sound doctrine that has been entrusted to us, that we indeed preach in season and out, regardless of what pragmatism tells us. I hope that helps, and we'll catch you next time. Hey, Lightning Cut watchers, if you want to learn more about the topic that we just talked about, pragmatism, and the other subjects connected to it, please check out Issues, Etc. Talk Radio for the Thinking Christian. Peter's going to list some links below for you to check out. Click on them, listen, learn, and enjoy.